I've leveled up. I now have a camera. So up until now, I have been recording my Sandy Sews videos on my phone. And I thought the quality was pretty good. I kind of started out making YouTube videos. It was something I thought about for a while and finally was like, just start it. You can't, have all the right equipment and have everything in place. You just need to start. I was using my phone and I've been really enjoying making videos. It helps with my creativity. It encourages me to sew every week. Not really that I need that encouragement, but it gives me an excuse to, forces me to. And I really loved just the whole process of editing and adding music and voiceovers, and it's been really fun. So I decided to continue to make videos and to buy a camera to just improve the quality. My little channel, I've just enjoyed seeing your comments, the encouragement. So thank you so much for watching and liking and commenting, and it's been really fun. So thank you so much. So for this video, I recently watched the movie Hitman on Netflix, and I love the love interests outfits. There's one in particular in one of the end scenes that I just kept thinking about and studying to be like, how is this put together? I'm gonna put a few quick screenshots up, talk about how I think this dress is constructed. Calling this my Hitman Madison dress because that's what her character's name is. So I have my front piece. I'm going to make it 40 inches wide by 30 inches long. I measured from where I wanted to hit the top to my bottom, plus I added seam allowance and a little more because I'm going to make a little casing in here to fit the string. I put a little rope around where I think the first elastic is going to go, and that's about 8.5 inches from the top. So then I measured, or I had Darren measure my back to that rope piece where I wanted that back piece to be, and that was about 4 inches. So I subtracted 4 inches from 40 to get me 36 inches for the back piece. Gonna be the same width. I'm gonna have 4 pocket pieces. I'm gonna have 4 1-inch wide elastic cases so I can slip the elastic through. And this will be on the inside. So I'm gonna have 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and those will be connected to have the elastic go around. And then last, I'm gonna have this really long 1-inch piece that is gonna be front ties, that's gonna go up, be my straps, go around the back, come back, and then tie in the front. So I'm making that 87 inches long. So I think I have my game plan. So I thought about using a plain fabric for the dress like she does in the movie, but I have this really pretty material that I think will be perfect for this dress. It's this pretty floral patterned rayon fabric that's super drapey, super lightweight. I think it will pleat really nicely. And then the bottom of the skirt will flow really pretty too. So let's get to cutting. Okay, that was hard to cut. Very slippery. So I have my front piece, my back piece, 4 pocket pieces, my elastic cases, and my long strap piece.
I ended up making the elastic casing 1.5 inches, so it was wide enough to fit my 1/4 inch wide elastic.
Okay, now I'm trying to think of my order of operations. I think I'm going to attach 2 of the elastic cases. So those are ready to go. I'm going to attach the pockets, and then I'm going to sew the body of the dress together. So sew the front piece to the back piece.
First, I brought that elastic casing over to my overlocker so I could finish the edges. I sewed the short edges of 2 of the casing together to make one long continuous one. And then I brought it over to my iron so I could press those edges towards the inside. Once those were all pressed, I brought my pocket pieces over to my overlocker to finish those edges.
Okay, so I aligned the sides by matching the bottom of the front and the back together. The front is only about 3 inches longer, which is fine because I measured it to the back of my bra. So if it's like a little higher up, that's great. So I just put this up against me, kind of folded this down because there's going to be a channel there. And I landed at about 13.5 inches from the top and about 10.5 inches from the back. So that's where I'm going to put my pocket pieces on both sides. And then I'm going to stitch them together.
After the pockets were sewed on, I finished the edges of the front piece and the back piece of the dress. And I sewed a top stitch on the right side of my pocket to the seam of the dress to make sure my pocket stayed inside and didn't flip out. I stitched the front piece to the back piece, making sure to stitch around the pockets to not stitch them closed.
Okay, it is a few days later, and let's get back into it. I'll show you what I've been doing. So I have my front piece sewed to my back piece, and what I did is I folded the front piece over about a 1/2 inch and then about 1 inch because that's going to be my channel for my front tie. And I marked off in blue where I'm going to add my first channel for my elastic. So this ended up being 10.5 inches from the top and 8 inches on the back because it's about 2.5 inches shorter in the back. And I did that because once I scrunch this, I'm going to see on me where I can connect and go up and create that little armhole. But I won't really know until this is all ruched together. So I left these with the ends not sewed together because when I sew it on, once I get to the edge, I can kind of like pinch them and sew. And I'll leave a little space underneath here to feed my elastic through. And then I'll be able to sew it up. So I'm going to sew on my first elastic channel.
Yeah.
Okay, I used my little bobkin to feed through the elastic, trying really hard not to twist it. I actually did it twice because the first time I was scared that I twisted it. I think it feels pretty good. So I'm going to sew these two ends together, and since it's so small, I'm going to use this piece of fabric to wrap around the ends and then use that to kind of sew them together.
No.
My second elastic is in, and I put some gathering stitches in the top front and the top back, which I realize I really only need to do the back. I've tried it on. I marked where I want the dress's points to come, and let me show you what I'm going to do next. So I took some measurements. 19.5 is what I want my back piece to measure, and 4.5 is what I want from the strap down to underneath my armpit. I marked where I want the strap to be, and it's about 5 inches away from the edge. So I'm gonna cut and connect kind of just like a scoop up to here. And then this whole back piece, since I've added gathering stitches, I'm gonna pull it all until it is 9.5 inches. And then I'm going to gather from here to here until it is 4.5 inches. Okay, I ended up trying this on and the back was super poofy. So I took off 1 more inch and I think that should do it.
It was at this point that I realized I needed bias tape that was going to go from my back to meet with the straps, around under my arm, and to the front to the part that was going to fold over to enclose the tie. I looked at my 1 inch wide bias tape and thought it was way too small. So I ended up making all of my bias tape that's going around the top of the dress 2 inches. And later on, you will see if this was a good idea.
I put a pin in the middle of my back. I want 9 inches between the straps, so 4.5 on each side. So I marked that with a little safety pin. And then I added my bias tape all around the side until I got to the front. And this is where I'm going to fold over to make the casing. So I'm going to stitch right sides together, fold it over, and then stitch in the ditch to enclose the top. Making these 2 inches made it so much easier to work with. It's definitely not as like delicate looking on the side, but oh my gosh, that was so much easier to sew. So now what I've done is I've pinned right sides together at the back, including the end of the 2 sides of the bias tape. I'm going to stitch it there, flip it over, and then I'll probably stitch here first and then continue on with the ends, enclosing the raw edges and making my straps that will then turn into the ties.
Yeah.
Okay, so my back is sewn, my straps are on. I folded the top over about 1/2 inch and then 1 inch and then marked it in blue, the center, because I'm going to make a buttonhole here for the straps to come out. So that buttonhole was a mess. It went off the path. It made a little knot in my fabric. Let's see, where is it? here. Getting that out was really tough, and I kind of pulled some of the fibers of my fabric. So there's like a little run in it. So I'm not happy about that. I probably, can you see it? Like, oh gosh, so sad. I probably should stop because it's getting late, it's dark out, but I'm running out of time to do this. So I'm going to continue on, just taking my time. I added a little interfacing like I should have the first time. We're going to make another buttonhole. This dress is almost finished. We can do this. Let's go.
My second buttonhole attempt was a success. So then I moved on to sewing that top channel for the ties.
Okay, so it's the next day. I have my tank top on. And it's actually looking better than I thought it did yesterday, but it still feels a little like frumpy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this bottom elastic on top to cinch this in more here, and that hopefully will lay flat. And I think that will actually be a better placement for that one. And then I'm gonna go back. The 2 inches I think were just a little too thick, and it doesn't have that like dainty, sophisticated feel that the dress in the movie had. So I think with those 2 changes, I mean, this is gonna be kind of a big deal. And then I'll hem, and then hopefully I'll be done.
This last day, I wasn't messing around, and things went by pretty well and pretty smooth. So I unpicked that bottom elastic channel, sewed it about an inch above my original top channel. Sewed on my 1.25 inch wide bias tape. I made sure to really press the ruching at the top, so when I pinned it into the bias tape, it wasn't super bulky, and this really worked. I folded the bottom hem up twice to cover that finished edge, and my Hitman Madison dress was finally complete.
What a journey. What a journey. But I'm so happy with how it came out. So it was all worth it. If you are using this as a tutorial, I hope what I showed you was kind of helpful. I know the measurements I kind of changed throughout the video. I hope you were able to kind of follow along, and everyone's measurements are going to be a little bit different. Some takeaways are: make this area a little smaller than you think, or really do your measurement from like underneath your bust to give you that waistline. And the thin straps are really where it's at. I'm really happy with the result. It's really cool how this is like adjustable. So you can kind of play around with it, make your straps shorter or longer, bunch this up. Yeah, as always, learning a lot with each project. So thank you for watching and following along. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. And I will see you on my next sewing adventure. Bye.